This is going to be a fun call. We are going to do live intakes. We took two people, Rich Mack and Mark Foster. And what's interesting about these two guys is Rich trained Mark. They're going to go head to head on intakes, and we're going to see who does, in the opinion of the group, whose intake is not necessarily superior, but different, and we can unpack it separately. Okay, so here are the rules of engagement. You're going to be a debtor, and you're not going to be a layup, an easy one. You want to be a debtor that is not sold on bankruptcy, and you want to be on a scale of 1 to 10, 10 being like brutal, and 1 being a complete layup, an 8-ish. We flipped the coin before we started, and Mark won.
Hi, this is Mark with the law office.
Hi, this is Hunter.
Hey, Hunter, how are you doing today?
Okay, how are you?
I'm doing well. So, I saw on my calendar here that you're calling in for a bankruptcy consultation. So, I was looking forward to our call. I do want to point out a couple of things right up front. So, firstly, there's a lot of misconceptions about bankruptcy. All day, I'm talking with people who are afraid that they're going to lose their vehicle, going to lose their home. Most common concern is that people think if they file bankruptcy, it'd be really difficult, if not impossible, to rebuild their credit afterwards. So I want to tell you right up front, all those things are untrue. We have movies, we have television shows that are telling you otherwise. In my case, I had family members that were saying similar things, but bankruptcy is definitely, you'll be able to keep your home, either keep your vehicle or get into a more affordable one. And then we're also going to help you boost your credit score after you file, if you do choose to go with us. So I always want to point that out up front. With this call, I'm going to gather a few pieces of background information from you. That way we can determine what the best fit would be, go over what that was going to look like for you moving forward. And then if you do want to move forward, we'll schedule some time for you to speak directly with the attorney. Is that okay?
Yeah, sure.
Perfect. So to start off, Hunter, tell me a little bit about what's going on. What happened? What's causing all of the financial issues for you at the moment?
Main thing is my trucking business, just this in work. And I started doing it right after COVID, and I bought a couple trucks. I got an LLC, and things were going good. I was making a lot of money, and then the bills started coming, and I just couldn't keep up with it. And I got some old debt before the trucking business, and then I started a new LLC that I'm selling stuff on the internet, which is really working good. It's looking good for me, but I just can't keep up with the debt. And my wife isn't really helping. She makes a good amount of money, but she doesn't like to pay my debt. So I'm
Gotcha.
kind of stuck.
Gotcha. So I'll put all that down. Yeah, I think that this could be a pretty good fit for you. How long did you own that trucking business?
I still own it. I'm still
Mhm.
running the truck every now and then when I need to, get a good bit of income. But I started it right around COVID, so about 4 years ago. I
Okay.
own one
Gotcha.
truck outright because I had a good year. But
Okay.
yeah,
Gotcha. And then you said you have another business as well where you're selling things online. Is that right?
yeah, they're like phone systems. I'm like a middleman. I don't really. I'm just getting into it right now. My friend tipped me off on it a couple months ago, and we started going in on it together. And then I said I could probably just do it myself. So
Gotcha. I'm gonna put this down. If you had to give me just a ballpark estimate, how much would you say you make per month from that business where you're selling the phone systems online?
I mean, it varies. Um, one month could be really good, and then another month could be really bad.
Mhm.
So it varies.
Gotcha. Ballpark figure, how much would you say you've made in the last 6 months from that? Just a ballpark figure.
Probably about 30,000,
Okay. You said 3,000 or 30,000?
30,000.
Gotcha. Okay. And then ballpark figure, how much would you say you've made from the trucking business last 6 months?
Nothing.
Okay.
But that 30,000 was on that new business that I just started, and we had a really good couple months. That's why I think it's going to catch on, but I just don't know.
Yeah, it sounds like it made a lot of at first, and then last couple of months it slowed down. Am I right?
Yeah, it's been uneven.
Gotcha. Okay. Yeah, we should be able to help. I know you had mentioned that you're currently married. Do you guys have any dependents?
No, just the two of us.
Okay. Got that. And right now, is there any legal action currently being taken against you in regard to any of your debt, whether it's debt associated with your business or personal debt like credit cards, medical, and
I
things like
get
that?
lots of phone calls,
Okay.
lots of phone calls. And some of them are threatening it, and I got a couple letters from other lawyers, but not that I know of.
I'll put that down here. And then ballpark figure, how much total debt would you say you're looking at if you had to put a number on it?
It's probably around. I mean, are we counting? Do I have to count everything?
Just for this conversation, what we'll do is we'll gather all the info to determine what the best fit is for you, and then we'll schedule you to speak directly with the attorney. But just for this conversation, yeah, let's include all of your debt.
Probably like 130,000.
And then if you had to differentiate it, how much of that would you say is personal debt and how much would you say is business debt?
Business debt. Well, does that include like SBA loans and stuff?
For this conversation, yeah, I'm just trying to get as much information as possible for the attorney.
See, I don't. Okay, I don't consider that because that was just okay. An IRS too, then.
Yep, yep.
Probably another 50,000, and then the SBA loan was 150, so 200,000.
Gotcha. I'm gonna put that down here. Any credit card debt, medical debt, or personal loans?
Yes.
Perfect. Ballpark figure, how much credit card debt would you say you have?
Well, the charged off debt, or does that matter?
Grand total. So both charge-offs and then credit cards that you have some debt with that aren't charged off at this point.
Probably about 25, 30.
I'm gonna say 25 to 30,000. And then it's okay if you're not. At this point in time, are you making any monthly payments toward that?
On some of them, the ones I can send some money to, yeah.
Got it. I'm gonna put this down. So how much would you say you're paying per month, ballpark figure?
About $200.
Okay. And then ballpark figure, how much medical debt would you say you're looking at, if any?
I don't really have any.
Perfect.
Can I?
Say
You
no
said it
medical.
earlier. I can keep my car. We haven't talked about that. I have a 2018 Jeep Wrangler that I bought a couple years ago for my daughter. She drives. It's really her car. She drives it. She doesn't live with me, but
Right.
anyway, I can keep that, right?
So you're going to have a couple of different options there. So one of the things that a lot of our clientele do, we work with closely with a dealership called Ash Auto. And so in some instances, what they do is we'll refer somebody to Ash Auto. Ash Auto can get them into a better vehicle with a better interest rate. So in the case that you're upside down in that, it would be a really good option for you. So we'll discuss that a little bit later, but either way, we're going to make sure that we can help you out the best way possible and make sure you don't lose any of the assets that you currently have.
Okay, because I don't owe any money on this one.
It's paid off.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay. I'm gonna say Jeep. What's the year and the model on that?
It's a 2018 Wrangler,
Okay, perfect. So
my daughter's
Wrangler.
car.
And then you're on the title and everything, right?
Yeah, but it's really hers.
Yeah, she drives it around, she uses it, but your name's on it, it sounds like.
Yeah, I think so.
Okay, perfect. I'm gonna put that down. Any other vehicles that are in your name aside from that Jeep Wrangler? I know you said you have the one. Any other ones?
I have a 19 Altima that I owe some money on that we really can't afford, but my wife needs it because she really drives that one. It's in both of our names, and she needs it to get to and from work, but we can't keep making payments on it.
That down here. And then any other vehicles other than the Wrangler and the Altima?
No,
Perfect.
just my truck from the
Gotcha.
business.
Let's say the truck for the business. What's the year, make, and model on that one?
It's a 15 Freightliner.
Is that paid off?
Yeah, yeah. That was a good year I had when we first started, and I just bought it outright. And I got a couple with some loans on, but I'm ready to give them back. They want them back. I just don't know what to do with them.
Gotcha. And that's something when you speak with the attorney, he'll give you some legal advice on how to handle that. What's the year, make, and model on those ones?
17 Peterbilts, both of them.
Perfect. And then how much do you owe on the first one, ballpark figure?
About 77.
Perfect. Second one, ballpark figure, how much would you say on that
About
one?
the same.
Okay. And what are your monthly payments on those?
I don't even like I pay them when I paid
Right.
$1,000 last month, and they were happy with that.
Okay, gotcha. By chance, any vehicle repossessions or broken leases or evictions?
Nope.
Got it. Perfect. And I know you had mentioned the IRS debt. Do you have any student loans by chance?
No, no.
Okay, perfect. And do you own any real estate or property currently, or are you renting?
Right now we own our house, but we might be separating. We might be selling that. I don't know.
Okay. Ballpark figure, what would you say the balance is on the home?
We owe about 200,000.
That and ballpark figure, what are your monthly payments on that?
It's about 1,500, 1,600 a month.
Okay, perfect. And if you had to guess, how much would you say it's worth?
We've had it. We bought it. It's probably 300, 350.
Okay, perfect. So yeah, it looks like as I had mentioned previously on the call, what I definitely want to do is I want to set up some time for you to speak directly with the attorney. That way, he can give you some legal advice on exactly how to handle these situations. What it looks like though, what we could do for you, I'm definitely going to set you up with an appointment with Ash Auto Group because I know you'd mentioned with the Altima, you guys need to keep that vehicle because your wife uses it to drive to and from work. What the way that they operate is they can more than likely get you guys into a better situation financially, lower monthly payments, lower interest rate. So I'm going to set them up to give you a phone call to discuss like what they could offer you guys. How they do it is if you did choose to give up the Altima, they would make sure that you have a vehicle before you would need to give that one up. So there wouldn't be any time where there's no vehicle for her. They would make sure that you have one beforehand. And then additionally, on top of that, what we'll do is we would enroll you into 7 steps to a 720 credit score. What that is, it's a credit rebuilding program, and it's designed to put you guys in a position where if you wanted to purchase a home after you file, you'd be able to do so within 2 years of filing, 24 months afterwards. They would set it up credit wise where you'd be able to buy a home. So we want to make sure that we have those bases covered. Our goal is to work with you during as well as after the bankruptcy in order to set you up for success as much as possible. And then the last thing, if you do qualify for a Chapter 7 bankruptcy, what we'll do is we'll set it up. It's going to be an extra $10 a month post petition, so it's not too much, but we'll make it so all of your payments report to all 3 credit bureaus. So the act of paying those post petition fees will actually help you improve your credit much more quickly as well. But it sounds like you would be a good fit. I want to set you up with some time to speak directly with the attorney. Is there a day and time later this week I can have the attorney call you directly?
Sure.
Perfect. What's the best day and time for you?
Friday at 6.
Perfect. I'm going to set you up Friday at 6 o'clock. And then, as I had mentioned, I want you to speak with Ash Auto Group. Could I have them give you a call Friday at 7? Would you still be available?
Sure, sure.
Perfect. I'm going to set that up here as well. And then, last thing, obviously, like we're a busy office, we handle a lot of cases. Our attorney does have a $50 no-show fee. Obviously, if you do need to reschedule, if you do need to cancel, let us know within 24 hours and we wouldn't charge the $50. But what's a good debit card number I could put on file just for that purpose?
Here you go. Go ahead and
Perfect. I'm going
charge
to
it.
type it out. All right. All right. Perfect. I'm going to let you go. It was a pleasure talking to you. Do you have any questions for me before I let you go?
No, thank you.
Perfect. Thank you.
Bravo, bravo, Mark and Hunter. Good job, guys. Hunter, let's start with you. What are things that you liked about the intake? Like, what are some wins that you took away and you're like, I like the way we did this, like do with that? Either one of them.
Given the positive feedback, letting the client know that they're there to help, that empathizing with them.
Yeah.
I was expecting I was expecting an attorney evaluation, so it's a little
Right.
different. You're kind of
Right,
setting
right.
it
True.
up for the attorney. So,
True.
I know that I could have pushed it a little harder and wanted more legal answers from you. I'm sure you might get that. So I like
But
how you kind of steered it towards the general process of things and not get too much in the weeds.
I always tell people when I'm asked that, I always say, like our attorneys are going to give you legal advice. I'm not in a position where I'm not allowed to do it. So
Yeah.
it's going to be really important for your meeting with the attorney. Write down these questions. Make sure you ask them to the attorney because he'll be able to give you legal advice. And then I would recommend you take that advice over anything that I could possibly say.
Yeah.
And then like, okay, perfect. So it incentivizes them to keep the appointment because they want that legal advice. It's almost like the carrot.
So, Hunter, empathetic, you know, keeping it positive, keeping it moving forward. Anything else come to mind?
Just offering the solutions on the vehicle situation for sure. That comes up at almost every call. I would have spent a little more time on that with you because I get a lot of the clients about the transitioning. You got to be real specific on the timing of everything. They're really very concerned about that. And you said you'll never be without a car, and that was very reassuring. Yeah.
Good.
That's Jonas Ash though. That's Ash Auto. I know it's that luxury where they will do that. And so when I was doing a lot of intakes and referring people to Ash Auto, that was always like a weight off of everyone's shoulders. Like we'll make
Yes.
sure that you're not without a car. Like we'll get that taken care of. So I'm just grateful that Ash Auto does that.
You're ringing in. I answered the phone. Hi, this is Rich.
Rich is the owner of Three Pillars Bankruptcy Intake Service. He's done thousands and thousands of intakes. And where we connected is when he met a attorney here in Arizona who's a 720 client, Jacob Goodman. Jacob Goodman opened his practice in December 2019, right before COVID. And for ever since, he just keeps bigger, 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 more filers, more filings, and more filings. And one of his secrets is he doesn't talk to the debtors up front. He doesn't talk to them. He has Rich and Rich's team talk to the debtors, pre-qualify them. So when Jacob gets the client, he's talking about filing, filing, filing.
I understand that your firm does bankruptcy.
Yeah, absolutely. So, so glad we could get connected today, Matt. I first of all just want to say that I know that nobody wants to be in this situation to be looking at bankruptcy. So I'm sure you have a lot of questions, and this is really nerve-wracking for you. But what I want to do is just get to know you a little bit. I'm going to ask you some questions, get an idea of what you're dealing with, and then hopefully by the end of the call, we'll see what we can do to help you out. Okay.
Okay.
Okay. So first things first. What's going on? What has you looking at bankruptcy right now?
Well, I've had multiple things happen in the past for a few years. First I went through a divorce, and so went from a 2-income household to 1 income, raising 2 young kids. Then, we had COVID and this inflation. My rent just keeps going up, and the interest rate, the credit cards I've been using to cover my budget deficit, that's going up, and so the payments there are going up. And on top of that, my car, this 20-year-old BMW that every time it needs anything more than an oil change, it's like at least $1,000. I've got to replace it, but I don't know if
Okay.
anyone's gonna approve me for a new car, especially with this much debt on my credit report.
Okay. All right, Matt, sounds like you have a lot going on. I find that a lot of times bankruptcy and divorce go hand in hand, and I've definitely been there. I've definitely felt that crunch. But sounds like raising 2 kids after divorce, sounds like you probably are due for a bit of a break, right?
Yeah, I would say so.
Okay. All right. So what I'm going to do here, I have a form I'm going to fill out. Just ask some basic questions, and then this information is going to help me determine which type of bankruptcy would be the best fit for you. So let me start off by saying or asking what part of the state do you live in? What city are you in?
I live in downtown Indianapolis.
Okay, perfect. All right. And then have you ever filed bankruptcy before, or is this your first time?
First time. I never thought I'd be here.
Right. Okay. Very good. All right. And then how long have you lived here in the state of Indiana?
Well, it's been on and off. There have been 3 different times in my life when I've lived here, but most
Okay.
recently I've been here since 2008. So that would
Okay.
be 15 years and counting.
Okay. 15 years. Perfect. All right. Okay. And then you mentioned everything's going up. So it sounds like you're currently employed. Is that right?
Yeah, that's right.
Okay. What do you do for work?
I work for a technology company.
Okay.
Doing IT network administration.
Okay. Great. How are you compensated there? Are
Okay.
you hourly,
Um,
salary?
Salary.
Okay. What's your annual salary?
Right now it's at 75,000, which I know that sounds like good money here in flyover country, but between taking care of my kids and just the cost of everything, it's just that kind of money doesn't go as far as it used to.
Yeah. I've been seeing some stats lately on the inflation and how that's affected. But Yeah, absolutely. So, well, you have a good job. How long have you been at that job?
I've been with them, let's see, it'll be 2 years this summer.
Okay. It sounds like you've had a career in IT. Is that right?
Yeah.
Okay, so stable job, that's good. Okay, yeah, you said you do make a decent living. Let's go back to your car. You mentioned you have a 20-year-old BMW. What is the year of that BMW?
Let's see, it would be a 2004 BMW 3 Series.
Okay. All right. Do you have any loans on that? Title loans or any loans at all?
No, it's paid for, but yeah, just
Okay.
keeping it going. I'm always sinking cash into it.
All right. Yeah, definitely want to get out of that situation. Okay. One thing just to let you know is we take a holistic approach to the bankruptcy. I'm not sure if this is your first call on bankruptcy or not, but our firm, we take more of a holistic approach to the process. So instead of just helping you get out of debt, we actually offer a few other services. You mentioned you're dumping a lot of money to that. You have two kids. I don't know about you, but I wouldn't want to be driving a 20-year-old vehicle around with my two kids in the car. So we actually have some resources. We have partnered with a car. We call them a car broker because they're not really a car dealer. So we have a car broker, and they can actually get you into a brand new car, zero money down, the day after bankruptcy. So in your income, it's not based on your credit because you're filing bankruptcy. It has nothing to do with your credit. It's all income based. So I'm going to refer you to them. We can do a free they can do a free car consult with you, but they can literally get you financed into a new vehicle the day after bankruptcy. Okay.
Okay. When you say a new vehicle, are we talking about a brand new vehicle or just new to me?
Well, it'll be new to you. It'll be a newer vehicle. One great thing about them is all of their vehicles are like 3 to 5 years old. They're not very old. They all have bumper to bumper warranty. We use Ash because we've had clients in the past that have used other places and they call us, 3 to 6 months after the bankruptcy, like, hey, got into a bad car loan. Can you help me? And that's tragic for us to hear because we want to help you get onto, get through bankruptcy and then be productive and successful bankruptcy or with your life after bankruptcy. So having a bad car loan right after bankruptcy is horrible. So we've been using Ash for the last 3.5 years, and they've sold hundreds of cars to our clients, and we haven't had any complaints. They take really good care of our clients, so we love them. So we're gonna have you do a free consult with them, so they can help you with your car. In addition, that car purchase is gonna help you build your credit. So one other thing to mention along those lines while we're there is for being our client, we're going to give you free access to 720creditscore.com. If you haven't heard of them, essentially they give you all the links, tools, resources to help you build your credit quickly after bankruptcy. And a lot of our clients that follow our process, if you do things right, you could have a credit score of 700 or better within about 12 months or so after bankruptcy. So between Ash, our firm, and 720, we're here to help you prepare for success after bankruptcy. Okay.
Well,
So
I'm surprised to hear that because I've been afraid that if I file for bankruptcy, it might get rid of my debt, but I'm afraid it's going to destroy my credit. But you're telling me that may not be true?
that's not true. That's actually the most common misconception in bankruptcy. And some people do have a bad experience. That's why we offer you this education, because you can only do it once every 8 years. I don't want you to be like the two people that called me earlier this morning that 4 years later they're back in that same spot. So if you do things, if you follow everything and do things right, you can be very successful. You can buy, like I mentioned, you can buy a car the day after bankruptcy. So you can get a mortgage 2 years to the day after filing bankruptcy. So that 7-year thing, it's very common on the internet. That's just a fallacy, but a common misconception about bankruptcy. But yeah, so that's not accurate at all. Okay.
Okay.
Guys, 10-minute warning.
Do you own a home or do you rent?
I rent.
Okay. And you current up to date with filing your taxes?
Yeah, all my tax filings are current. I don't owe anything to the IRS for the state of Indiana.
Okay. Are you being sued, garnished, or anything like that going on yet? People knocking on your door, serving you with papers?
Actually, no, believe it or not, I'm current on all my credit cards, and that's
Okay.
the debt that's dragging me down. The problem is that, just making those minimum payments every month is a real struggle. It seems like I'm just on a hamster wheel here, just not getting anywhere. And
Okay.
even though I'm current on my payments, it seems like my credit score is actually now going down. And somebody told me that was because, being maxed out on my cards, which I'm getting, pretty close to, that could hurt me. So,
Yes, absolutely. So you're in what I call a financial hamster wheel. You're just spinning your wheels, you're paying your minimums, but your debt's going up and things are just getting harder for you. Is that right?
exactly.
Okay.
And, after I pay the credit cards can be a real challenge, to make sure that I can pay for my kids' school
Yeah.
extracurriculars, or even things like doing a nice birthday party for my son.
Right. Right. So yeah, yeah, absolutely. That money would be better served helping you be a single dad rather than going to your creditors paying interest. So that's what bankruptcy is going to do for you. It's going to wipe everything off of your credit, let you start over fresh so you can start using that money to help benefit your life instead of just towards your debts. But based on what you're telling me here, Matt, is it looks like chapter 7 is going to be the best fit for you. Okay. So that's a kind of the bankruptcy that most people are familiar with. It just wipes everything out, lets you start over fresh. One of the most common phrases used on bankruptcy is fresh start. Okay. So, and the other thing I hear from our clients is, I wish I would have done this sooner, and you might be in that position right now. So, what I want to do for you is get you set up with a more comprehensive, detailed consultation with one of our legal team. So, but do you have an idea of when you're looking to get started on bankruptcy? I'm sure your big question right now is dollars and cents. How much is it going to cost, right?
Yeah, that's
Outside of yeah,
that's
so
the
outside
issue.
of cost, yeah, so outside of cost, how soon are you looking to get started?
Well, when I started this call, I was not sure about that because I was a bit reluctant to file, but some of the stuff you've told me here, I'm, starting to think maybe this is the right thing for me to do. And, I think I'd like to sleep on this and think about it overnight, but assuming that I want to move forward, once I've made that decision, I'm looking to just go ahead, and, if I'm going to do it, then I want to move forward and get it done.
Yeah, actually, I've been in your shoes before. Exactly your same situation. Two little kids, single dad, divorce. So, and the one of my big regrets is not doing this sooner. So, I think you're right. You're on the right track here. But I'm not here to sign up for bankruptcy today. What I want to do, just kind of talk to you about dollars and cents. But first things first. Most of actually our law firm offers a payment plan, but you just have to pay the court fee up front. So the court fee, just to get started, just tell you, the court fee is $350. So just pay the court fee. That's all you need to do to get started. So instead of paying your credit cards, which the next appointment attorney is going to tell you stop paying your credit cards. You should have stopped paying a few months ago if you're going to file bankruptcy. But all you have to do is pay the $350 up front to get started, and then we can put you on a 10-month payment plan thereafter. But today I'm not signing you up for bankruptcy. I'm actually just here to introduce you to our law firm. So the next appointment, they're going to create a more specific, detailed plan for you, where they kind of pull your credit and do more of a in-depth analysis. So the best thing you can do for yourself, as far as gathering information, getting all your questions answered, is to have that next meeting. So I'm going to get you set up with one of our legal team and the next appointment. And so, but like I said, I just want to emphasize that the best thing you can do for yourself right now is do that next free meeting with them. So there's no obligation. It's a free meeting just to help get more information on how this is going to help you out. Okay. So
Okay.
what's your schedule like the next couple of days? You have about 30 minutes. You can get on a phone call or a Zoom.
Yeah, I could do a 30-minute Zoom either tomorrow at 11 Eastern, or if tomorrow's bad, I could do 4:30 Eastern on Thursday.
Thursday 4:30 is available, so why don't we get you set up for that? So the attorney, we are very busy right now, as you can assume. A lot of people are going through the same thing. So I'm going to get you set up with that. You're going to get an email here and get a link to Ash Auto. You can actually call Ash right away and do a free car consult with them. I'd recommend doing that as soon as we hang up, just so you have a better idea of how the car situation is going to work for you. However, we are really busy. It's a free meeting. It's no obligation. However, to secure your appointment, our attorney is requiring a debit card on file just to secure your appointment, just kind of like setting up an appointment at the doctor's office. So there's a small fee if you miss your appointment, but our goal is to make sure that we give you the help that you're looking for. And so, but I do need a debit card. So let me get you the setup with this appointment. Do you have a debit card handy that I can put this in your file here?
Let's see here. Yeah, we can go ahead and put it on this card. Now, just so I know here, the fee is only if I'm a no-show, right?
Yes, so let us know if something comes up ahead of time, let us know. We can cancel, reschedule ahead of time, but just make sure that you don't leave us hanging and waste 30 minutes of his time, okay? So
Yeah,
you have an
that's
email, you should have an email in your inbox confirming that appointment. We look forward to working with you. Hopefully, at the beginning of the call, it sounded like you're a little nervous. Sounds like you're feeling a lot better about things right now. Would you agree? Maybe you can sleep better tonight.
I think I very well may.
Okay, perfect. All right, look, thanks for calling. Look forward to working with you. We will be in touch.
Okay, thank you.
Nice job, Matt. Nice job, Rich.
Okay, well, I think that Rich did a really good job with the empathy. Felt like my that scenario that I described, that he understood what I was going through, and that it was tough. I think he also did a good job in addressing some of the fears that I expressed, like, what is this going to do to my credit score, and so on and so forth. And then finally, I thought it was an interesting technique there at the end that I've never used before. But the idea of, let's put a debit card on file. We're not going to charge it unless you no-show.
Yeah.
Of course, no-shows are the bane of every bankruptcy lawyer's existence.
Yes.
So, if this is an effective tool to get people to show up or answer the phone, I think it's something worth considering.
So, Matt, how did that land on you as a debtor? Like, did that come across hard sell or anything like that? I mean, how'd that come across?
In some ways, yeah, but I would think that if I were a serious prospect, and I'm the sort of person where if in the real world I did need to consider a bankruptcy right now, I wouldn't be just kind of making phone calls for the fun of it. I'd be looking to move forward, to have something to secure my appearance. I think there was the analogy. This is sort of like the doctor's office wanting to put your card on file. There's part of me that says that, somebody who really pushes back on that, maybe that's somebody who's not a great prospect. Maybe they're not very serious.
So, Rich, with all the intakes you do, because I know you do a lot of these long form intakes, what percentage do you get a credit card?
100%.
Oh, you get 100%?
Well, I say maybe 98%. Every once in a while, I get some pushback. But I think to Matt's point is if they're giving me pushback on that, they're not that serious. I do know that we started implementing that years ago when our show rate, after talking to me, the show rate was like 60 to 70%. And I'm like, you know what? And during the pandemic, any professional service, my mom would get her nails done. They would ask for a debit card because they'd have to have staff come to do it, or a massage. So everybody was asking for a debit card. So I'm like, why don't we do that? So we started doing that, and the show rate went from it's like 90-95% now. And it's very rare I get pushback on that. And so it's actually been interesting.
Yeah.
I also know some of my team, I've had to work with them, is like, it's how you present the debit card, like asking for that.
Yeah.
It's how you present it, which I think has a big impact.
I remember when you rolled that out, and it was really a question we had. Oh my gosh, will people give the debit card? And it surprises me still, all those debit cards that come through. Matt, any other positive things before we go on to the big open up for everybody?
I think that pretty much covers. Like I said, a really quick question for Rich. Have you ever had any issues with folks giving you the debit card number, they no-show, so you charge them, and then they pull a charge back on you? Has that been an issue?
Yeah, it happened once.
Do you charge? No,
we don't. I think I can count on one hand of the hundreds of intakes I've done here, specifically in the Phoenix office with the Phoenix firm. Count on one hand how many times we've actually run it. It's more of a psychological thing. It's not really there. If the attorney wants to charge, they can, but it's more of a psychological thing just to get the person to either give the respect to cancel ahead of time or show up.
Yeah,
So,
Gotcha.
it's more because the thing is, let's just say the person doesn't show up, right? There was an intent there, and then you can follow up accordingly. We don't want to make the $50. We want to do the bankruptcy. So it's not about the charging; it's about the intent to show up and communicate, right?
literally while we're in this call, Attorney Goodman texted me and said, "Hey, this person did not show up for their appointment." And then so we reach out and it's like 10 minutes later, "Hey, there's a no-show fee." Guy responds right away, "I'm so sorry. I'm in the hospital. I couldn't make my appointment." So so they respond. They communicate when they have that
That's the
little
key.
fear in that.
That's the key. So it's something we can roll out. Okay. Who else out there? Thank you, Matt. Appreciate you.
You know, I really loved both of them. And what I really enjoyed about listening to Rich was the empathetic, the way he came across empathetically.
Mhm. Yeah.
And I really enjoyed both of them, really.
So Rich,
Yeah.
Mark, you get this unsophisticated debtor,
Mm-hmm.
not knowing much. Hey, I want to file chapter 7, right? They don't know. How do you just keep it? How do you keep it moving? Like, how do you keep it positive? Like, what do you do? What's the response to a very, very unsophisticated debtor doesn't know? What do you do?
Well, there's two reasons people file bankruptcy. They have a lot of debt that they can't afford, and they have bad credit. So if you still, everybody's familiar with their credit. Anybody's bought a car or went get a car loan, they go to these little mall pop shops. They buy a car that's 5 times, the value of it, and they have a $600 per month car payment on a 10-year-old vehicle. So people are familiar that bad credit is expensive. So I feel like nobody's that unsophisticated that they don't understand that their debt and their credit score. But I just kind of get on their level and talk to them on their terms. I'm like, sometimes you got to go like, hey, I'm 16 years old. I'm talking to somebody at 16-year-old level, or I'm talking to somebody that's a little bit more professional. Like in Mark's, like Hunter, that guy was a business owner. He's professional. He knows how to run a business. He has a family. So there's a huge spectrum. And we talk to people on all levels of intelligence. And
Mark, you have any feedback on that? On the very unsophisticated debtor?
Yeah, I mean, it's one of those situations. I'm sure that we all have family members that are like on that level, have issues with money, have a lot of questions, a little bit less sophisticated than you as an attorney. What I found is when I'm talking with someone, I always try to speak on their level. And so when I'm doing an intake, oftentimes I'll ask that question, well, how much credit card debt would you say you have? And the answer that I'll get is, I have no idea, Mark. I'll say, that's okay. Just give me your best estimate. What's your best guess if you had to put a number on it? And so it's just gathering the information that they do know. And then when we have things like that, I just put them in the forms where need to check in on this, might not be 100% accurate. So I'll relay that information to the law firm. But I just let them know, like, yeah, it's fine. I think a lot of the unsophistication probably comes from nerves. Like, this is a huge step for people. They're incredibly nervous. And as I had mentioned at the beginning of my role play, a lot of people go into this just assuming, like, okay, so if we file bankruptcy, my wife's not going to have a car to get to and from work. We're going to lose the house. I'm going to lose my business. And so they're in a position of sheer terror. And so asking them these questions, I think that the key is, like, get them to calm down a little bit. Let they're like, yeah, that's fine. Give me a ballpark estimate. Okay, perfect. Are you making any monthly payments on that? It's okay if you're not. Okay, I'll put $200 a month. Perfect. And then at that point, once they let their guard down a little bit, they can start speaking more openly. But always, like, at first couple minutes of the call, it's like people can seem unsophisticated when in reality they're just frozen with terror. And so maybe once that guard's let down, they become more sophisticated when you're talking to them.
Well, there's a pride thing too. And there's like your egos. I mean, this is hard call.
Mhm.
It's a hard
Yeah.
call calling a bankruptcy attorney. Most likely it's the
Sure.
first attorney they've ever called many times. Second of all, it's like emotional. Like you're coming to them and saying, hey, I've like failed financially.
Yeah.
It's hard. It's hard. Hey, we have a holistic approach to bankruptcy. Like, what do you guys think about that? Right? Holistic approach to bankruptcy. Here's what we're doing. Like, it's not solving the debt. It's, look, we're going to look at your car. We're going to look at this. We're going to rebuild your credit, et cetera, et cetera. Holistic approach to bankruptcy. Rich, you said something halfway through. I wish I would have done this sooner. Or you said,
Mhm.
what exactly? It was like, I think you're going to realize people say to me, I wish I would have done this sooner.
Yes, I do. We hear that a lot. I'm also creating urgency with people.
Yeah.
And so I'm not pushing appointment back a week, like within a couple of days while they're still excited. And another thing you said, Phil, is people are nervous to call, and people are intimidated by lawyers. When I first started working with lawyers, I was intimidated by them. But I think sometimes having somebody like me or my team talking to them initially, to Mark's point, is it calms their nerves, and they're not as nervous talking to somebody that's on their level, but they're very nervous talking
Right.
to a lawyer. But yeah, taking a holistic approach, I'm creating urgency.
Well, and
Let's not procrastinate, things like that.
yeah. And we hear this a lot. I wish I would have done this sooner. And then at the very end, when you're wrapping up, hey, do you feel better? And you notice it wasn't like, hey, I'm sure you feel better. see you later. It was like,
Mhm.
do you feel better? Wait, right? I love that. Was good.
Yeah.
Mark, I loved, so you just hit it right between the eyes. Hey, here's some certain errors or misconceptions. We hear about bankruptcy. Look, you're not going to lose your car. You can rebuild your credit, all that. You just knocked them down right in the beginning, which was very interesting. And then you asked, how much are you paying on your credit cards right now? And Hunter said it's about $200 a month. Well, that's the payment. Whether you bifurcate or not, it's $200 that can go to the bankruptcy, right? And I know that's where
Exactly.
you're going. I think it would have been effective to close that loop, like or maybe the attorney would do it when they get on the phone of, hey, that $200, this pays for the bankruptcy because they can afford it.
One of you had said, come in, we can get your case filed with just the filing fee or something like that. And I remember there being another company that did some financing or something that, it didn't really seem to work out. Who was doing that with a filing case without only the filing fee? Because I know these clients, they're I mean, they're 50-50. Some of them are good people and some of them are,
Yeah.
there's a reason why they're in bankruptcy, and it's because they don't pay their bills and they're not going to pay their
So
attorney's
John,
fees.
this is a long conversation, and let me just mention, because I want to keep this focused on the intake. Bifurcation, for the most part, it's done with self-financing for those that do it. The attorneys are bifurcating now. They're financing, the financing themselves.
True financing.
Those that
Right.
are gonna
That's what I
pay
wanted
for the
to.
financing fee and go. We don't see, like we saw many years ago. Many years ago, we saw a true no money down, where it's like, hey, we'll file your case with no money down. Now that happens in some Chapter 13s, does not happen in the 7s like we would see. But I don't believe the financing companies like BK Building and Fresh Start Funding, they're actually factoring bankruptcy anymore. So unless someone hears. But thanks for that question, John.
I thought Mark's flowed very well. Just constructive criticism. I thought he said ballpark figure way too many times.
Okay.
Personally, I don't know that it was necessary. I think it's necessary sometimes. Someone says, I don't know if I have 20,000 or 50,000 in credit card debt, that kind of thing. I noticed that well, maybe not. I might have missed it. So correct me if I'm wrong, but nobody asked about tax debt, which to me seems like a major question that needs to be, answered. Now, maybe you wait for the attorney call in your model to do that. But I was curious about that.
I think
So
for me, I
Hunter,
usually do.
Hunter told me
Oh,
his tax debt. Hunter said what his IRS debt was.
Okay.
I do, and
That's that question.
I typically do go more into that an intake. I think just for time's sake, I didn't go all into all the weeds there. I usually do ask a lot more detail about their debts, in addition to tax debt and even student loans with some of the student loan resources we have as well. So just for time's sake, I skip that.
I don't do like very many of the true 0 down, pay me in 10 months kind of thing. I will occasionally do it. But yes, I asked that same question about how much are you paying each month on that credit card debt or all your loans. And a lot of times in my market, people are paying $1,500. And I say, well, okay, in 2 months, you can pay your bankruptcy. So I use it for the same purpose, but I have a little different clientele, I guess.
Cool. Thank you, Bert. Was that a question, or was that just did you have a question there, or was that just like
Nah, I'm just musing, man.
Thank you, Bert. So
it was excellent. I wanted to just build on your comment, Phil, that was complimenting Mark on kind of emphasizing that it's a comprehensive approach. Because if you want to set yourself apart, you got to become a category of one. You've heard from marketers out there, don't compete with someone else. Make yourself so different that you're the only choice. You're the only logical choice. And one way to do that is kind of what Mark did. What we do here is we say any bankruptcy attorney can discharge your debt, but none of them out there are helping you to replace your car in the right way, or helping you show you how to rebuild your credit, giving you, lifelong access to us to call us with questions if something pops up. We're happy to get on the phone with you and help you figure out, where you need to go. And those types of things just set you apart. And I think that these guys are good at doing that, especially I'm sure some of it's tailored a little bit to the attorney who the case is going to get handed off to. But particularly with those attorneys that do that, I know Jacob does, and we do, and Mark does a good job of kind of emphasizing that. So
Well, the one thing is emphasizing the car. Probably a third to 40% of the clients I have cannot qualify for a car loan. So
That happens.
I
Happens.
mean, and you know, they're almost up from the beginning. I'm very reluctant to talk to them about getting a replacement car unless I get more information.
Yeah. Okay. Good. That's good feedback too. Good feedback. Thank you, Robert. And I want to say one other thing for those of you who do not do our newsletter to the past clients, to your past clients with 720, we're having a special before NACPA. We have this past client email drip where we're emailing them. And if you recall, at the top of every email, it says, these are tips and techniques on how to use your bankruptcy as a springboard success, right? Please forward this to people who may have debt problems. And we know these emails are being forwarded. It's typically the cost of that is $150 per month, and then plus the extra for Google reviews. That's an extra 100 for Google reviews. We're waiving the 100 for Google reviews. So you get both as long as you sign up before NACPA.